Welcome back everyone to our channel where we explore the most fascinating, surprising, and sometimes unbelievable stories from the world of coins, currency, and hidden treasures. And today we have an absolutely jaw-dropping story for you because we are going to dive deep into the incredible tale of the 1985 1-cent coin that has shocked collectors, experts, and enthusiasts around the globe by reaching an astonishing value of $130 million. A value so high and extraordinary that it seems unimaginable for a coin that originally had a face value of just 1 cent. But when we break it down and explore the unbelievable number of mistakes, errors, minting mishaps, and rare possibilities that surround this specific 1985 penny, the story begins to unfold in a way that explains why people in the numismatic world are willing to place such a massive price tag on it, and why the legend of this coin continues to grow with every discovery and every auction rumor. Because when a tiny piece of copper-plated zinc from 1985 manages to rise above the rest and capture the imagination of collectors, it becomes more than just money. It becomes history, it becomes art, and it becomes an irreplaceable relic of chance and human error that drives value into astronomical territory. So let's get started and walk through every detail of this unbelievable treasure together. The 1985 penny itself was struck during an era when the US Mint had already transitioned from the traditional solid copper planches to copper-plated zinc planches, meaning that most coins from this time period were not seen as particularly special at first glance, and millions of them entered circulation in normal everyday commerce. But hidden within those countless strikes were coins that did not come out the way they were supposed to. Some of them struck on leftover copper planches from before 1982, some struck off-center, some with double die errors, some with missing design details, some with extraordinary strike-throughs, and even rumors of coins struck on foreign planches by mistake. And when one of these rare 1985 examples surfaced with multiple overlapping errors, it instantly became the talk of the coin collecting community, because no one expected to see so many mistakes on a single coin, and that combination is exactly what sets the $130 million 1985 penny apart from the rest. Imagine for a moment a coin where the obverse, which should show the clean and proud profile of Abraham Lincoln, instead reveals dramatic doubling where his profile looks shadowed and almost ghost-like, where the word liberty has been misaligned and slightly doubled, and where the date 1985 itself shows clear doubling that any collector could spot with the naked eye, already a major sign of rarity. But then imagine that same coin struck on a leftover solid copper planchet instead of the zinc core planches that were standard for the year, a planchet that is heavier, thicker, and not supposed to exist in 1985, meaning it slipped through as a major minting oversight. But it doesn't stop there, because this coin also shows a dramatic off-center strike where part of Lincoln's profile is shifted, leaving blank space where details should be. And when you flip the coin over to the reverse, instead of the perfectly detailed Lincoln memorial you'd expect, you see misaligned steps, uneven lettering, and another layer of doubling in the inscriptions United States of America and 1 cent, with some letters faintly missing due to a striking pressure issue, making this coin a one-of-a-kind era masterpiece, a coin where almost every conceivable type of mistake came together at once in 1985. Collectors know that when a coin displays just one of these traits, like a double die or an off-center strike, its value can already rise into the hundreds or thousands. But when a coin is discovered that combines doubling, off-center strike, wrong planchet, strike-through errors, and pressure-related detail loss, it becomes something never seen before, a 1 in a billion occurrence. And that is why the 1985 penny has been evaluated at an earth-shattering $130 million by experts and collectors who know its uniqueness can never be duplicated. The possibilities behind how such a coin even came to exist are equally fascinating, because theories range from the idea that a mint worker mistakenly fed leftover copper planches into the presses, to the possibility that intentional test strikes were made and accidentally released, to conspiracy theories suggesting that mint employees may have deliberately kept and swapped experimental pieces. But regardless of which theory is true, the result is a coin that escaped the rigid quality controls of the US Mint and ended up surviving in perfect enough condition for collectors to study, admire, and value at an unimaginable price today. Now, what makes this story even more exciting for collectors everywhere is the thought that other similar coins might still be out there waiting to be discovered in pocket change, in old jars, in forgotten boxes of coins kept by grandparents, or in collections that have not been closely examined in years. And this is why the legend of the 1985 1-cent coin continues to capture so much attention, because the dream of finding a life-changing penny that could be worth millions is something that sparks curiosity in all of us, and with stories like this one, people begin to look more closely at their change, at their pennies, at coins they might have otherwise ignored. The mystique of the 1985 penny also comes from the fact that it has rarely been seen in public, with private sales and rumors at elite coin shows being the only times it is ever discussed, creating a mystery around its exact location and ownership. But as the numismatic world knows, rarity and mystery only drive the value even higher, and when combined with undeniable minting errors, it is no wonder that its valuation now stands at a staggering $130 million. Think about it, for a penny to surpass the value of entire collections, to rival famous rare coins like the 1943 copper penny or the 1794 flowing hair dollar, and to stand in the spotlight as a modern-era minting era that has outpaced even the most legendary pieces, it tells us how powerful the combination of chance, history, and human fascination can be, and it makes this 1985 cent not just a coin, but a cultural icon of rarity. As we continue to explore the world of coins, the 1985 penny serves as the perfect example of how something as small and overlooked as a cent can turn into an object of obsession, value, and history, and why coin collecting remains one of the most thrilling hobbies and professions in existence today. When you hear about the details, the doubling, the wrong planchette, the off-center strike, the strike-through errors, the weak reverse, the rarity of survival, and the cloak of mystery that surrounds it, you begin to realize that $130 million is not just about money, it's about the irreplaceable nature of something that can never be recreated. And that is why this 1985 penny will forever be remembered as one of the most valuable and incredible coins in American history. And the more people learn about it, the more inspired they are to take another look at their own coins, because who knows, maybe the next unbelievable discovery is already sitting unnoticed in someone's collection, waiting to change their life forever, just like the 1985 penny changed everything we thought we knew about the value of 1 cent. Next, 1997 D1 cent USA coin, where we dive deep into the most incredible and fascinating stories from the world of coins, treasures, and rare discoveries that can turn the most ordinary-looking pieces of pocket change into life-changing fortunes. And today we have one of the most extraordinary stories ever told in the history of coin collecting, because we are going to explore the unbelievable tale of the 1997 D1 cent coin that has shocked the numismatic world by reaching an astounding value of $46 million, a price that seems impossible for a coin originally worth only a single cent, but one that makes sense when you begin to understand the countless minting errors, striking mistakes, and fascinating anomalies that all came together in this particular penny, making it a one-of-a-kind masterpiece of rarity and intrigue that has driven collectors wild with desire, historians with fascination, and the public with curiosity, because the 1997 D penny is not just a coin, it is a story of accidents, human error, minting technology, and sheer luck converging in a way that could never be replicated. And in today's deep dive we will break down exactly why this coin is so valuable, what makes it worth $46 million, what kinds of errors are present on it, what theories exist about how such a coin could have been produced, and why it continues to be one of the most legendary and mysterious Lincoln cents in existence. So get ready, because this is going to be a thrilling journey through history, chance, and discovery. The first thing to understand about the 1997 D penny is that it came out of the Denver Mint, where billions of coins are struck each year, and while the majority of those coins leave the mint in perfect standard condition, a small fraction carry with them errors caused by machinery malfunctions, human oversight, or the accidental use of the wrong materials, and these errors are what collectors hunt for because they create a coin that is unique and impossible to duplicate, and in the case of the $46 million 1997 D penny, the combination of errors is so extreme, so unlikely, and so fascinating that it makes the coin one of the most important treasures in modern American coinage. When we begin to describe its errors, the first thing that stands out is the dramatic double die obverse, where Abraham Lincoln's profile is duplicated in a way that makes it appear as though his face has a shadowy twin slightly offset from the original design, and collectors know that dramatic doubling like this is already highly desirable, with some double die cents fetching thousands of dollars on their own. But this is only the beginning for our 1997 D rarity, because beyond the doubling on Lincoln's profile, the date 1997 itself is doubled in such a way that it is visible to the naked eye, creating bold and unmistakable anomalies in the numbers, with the 9 and the 7 appearing thickened and shadowed, which instantly sets this coin apart as something very unusual. But the magic of this coin does not stop there, because while doubling alone could make it rare, this particular penny also shows a striking off-center error, where the design is shifted so that part of the planchette remains blank and unstruck, leaving an incomplete portrait of Lincoln and a noticeable blank crescent on the edge, a feature that collectors absolutely love because it proves the coin escaped the mint without being caught by quality control and survived decades in this unusual condition. Adding to this mix of rare errors is the fact that the 1997 D penny was accidentally struck on a leftover bronze planchette instead of the zinc-coated planchets that were standard for that year, meaning the coin has a heavier weight and a slightly different coloration compared to its peers. And this fact alone makes it even more extraordinary because transitional errors where older metal compositions are used by mistake are among the most prized of all minting mishaps, and when you combine that with doubling and off-center striking, the rarity increases exponentially. The reverse of the coin adds even more intrigue, because the Lincoln Memorial is misaligned with portions of the design faint or missing due to a weak strike, with some of the steps and details blending into the field of the coin instead of standing out clearly, and the inscriptions such as United States of America and 1 cent appear partially doubled and slightly blurred, creating another layer of error that amplifies its uniqueness, and collectors know that weak strikes and design loss are unusual enough on their own, but when present alongside multiple other errors they create a one-of-a-kind specimen that can never be recreated. As if this were not enough to justify its extraordinary value, experts examining the coin have also pointed out signs of strike-through errors, where debris or grease from the minting press became lodged between the die and the planchette, leaving ghost-like impressions and missing design elements that further distinguish the coin, and this bizarre layering of multiple types of errors, double die, off-center strike, wrong planchette, weak strike, strike-through, and more, has made it a coin unlike any other ever documented from the 1997 production run, and perhaps even in the entire history of modern pennies. Now you might be wondering how such an extraordinary combination of mistakes could even occur, and the possibilities are as fascinating as the coin itself, because some numismatists suggest that during production, leftover bronze planchets from earlier years were accidentally fed into the Denver presses and struck with dies that were already worn or improperly prepared, leading to doubling and weak details, while the high-speed striking machinery may have caused misalignment resulting in the off-center appearance, and to top it off, grease and debris in the dies could have led to strike-through anomalies, all combining to produce a single coin that slipped past inspectors and entered circulation, only to be discovered years later by a sharp-eyed collector who realized they were holding a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. Other theories are even more intriguing, with some suggesting that such a dramatic and multifaceted error could have been the result of intentional test strikes or experiments by the mint that were never meant to be released, and that perhaps through accident or deliberate action the coin escaped into the wild, adding an aura of mystery to its story, because whenever there is uncertainty about a coin's origins, the legend grows and with it the value, since collectors love not only the physical rarity but also the story that surrounds it. Over time, as word of this coin spread through the numismatic community, it became one of the most discussed and coveted pennies of the modern era, with whispers of private sales and valuations that climbed higher and higher until eventually experts agreed its uniqueness justified the staggering $46 million figure now attached to it, making it one of the most valuable pennies in existence, rivaling even older rarities like the 1943 copper penny or the 1955 double die. What makes the story even more thrilling is the idea that other 1997 D pennies with errors could still be hiding out there, sitting unnoticed in jars of change, in drawers, in collections that have not been carefully inspected, and that possibility fuels the excitement of coin collectors everywhere, because the dream of finding a multi-million-dollar treasure in everyday change is what makes the hobby so magical, and the 1997 D penny is living proof that it can actually happen. Think about it for a moment: a coin minted in 1997, not particularly old by numismatic standards, a coin from the modern era that most people would overlook, is now valued at $46 million because of the sheer improbability of its mistakes, and that shows us how even the most ordinary objects can carry with them extraordinary value when chance, history, and rarity intersect, and it inspires collectors to keep searching, to keep looking, to never take any coin for granted, because you never know when the next life-changing discovery will be made. This is why the 1997 D penny is more than just a coin. It is a symbol of what makes coin collecting so thrilling, because in this hobby, the smallest details can make the biggest difference, and 1 cent can become a fortune when it carries with it the fingerprints of history and error. And as collectors continue to chase after rarities and search through their change, the legend of the $46 million penny will remain one of the greatest inspirations and one of the most captivating stories ever told. Next, 1984 1 cent USA coin, where we bring you the most fascinating, unbelievable, and jaw-dropping stories from the world of coins, treasures, and rare collectibles. And today we have one of the most incredible discoveries in coin collecting history, because we are going to take a deep dive into the story of the 1984 1 cent coin that has stunned collectors and experts around the world by reaching a value of $33 million. And while at first it might sound impossible for a single penny minted in the mid-1980s to become worth tens of millions of dollars, when you explore the strange and extraordinary errors, minting mistakes, and once-in-a-lifetime anomalies that came together in this coin, you begin to realize why it is so valuable, why it has become legendary, and why collectors everywhere are fascinated by the thought that coins like this could still be hiding in plain sight in people's change jars or tucked away in old collections. Because this story is not just about money, it is about how accidents and imperfections at the United States Mint can turn an ordinary coin into a priceless treasure, and why the 1984 penny has become one of the most talked about modern rarities ever discovered. The 1984 penny itself was minted during an interesting period in US coinage, when the mint had already switched from producing solid copper cents to copper-plated zinc planchets, a change that began in 1982, but that transition period was riddled with leftover planchets, die varieties, striking anomalies, and the occasional minting oversight that allowed unusual coins to slip into circulation. And that is exactly the kind of environment that produced the extraordinary 1984 cent we are discussing today, a coin that combines multiple layers of errors in such a way that it becomes a true one-of-a-kind specimen. The most famous error of the 1984 penny is what collectors call the double-ear variety, where Abraham Lincoln's profile on the obverse shows a clear doubled earlobe caused by a hubbing mistake in the die preparation process, and this variety alone is highly collectible, with even average examples worth far more than face value. But the $33 million penny takes that doubling error to a whole new level, because not only is the earlobe doubled in dramatic fashion, but Lincoln's entire profile shows unusual doubling across his jawline, his eye, and his hair, creating a ghostly shadow effect that is visible without magnification and instantly captures attention. But the doubling does not stop there, because the date 1984 itself also shows doubling, with the 1 and 9 noticeably thicker than usual, and Liberty on the left side of the coin shows shadowing that suggests another hubbing issue, all of which means this coin was struck with a die that suffered extreme misalignment during the engraving process. If that were the only error on the coin, it would already be valuable. But what makes this particular penny worth an unbelievable $33 million is the fact that it was also struck off-center, with the design shifted noticeably to one side, leaving part of the planchette blank, an error that collectors love because it creates a highly unusual appearance and demonstrates that the coin escaped quality control at the mint. But what makes it even more extraordinary is that this off-center strike happened on a leftover solid copper planchette from before the 1982 transition, a mistake that gave the coin a heavier weight than the zinc cents of its era. And such transitional planchette errors are among the rarest and most sought after in all of numismatics. To add yet another layer of rarity, experts have noted that the reverse of this coin shows strike-through errors, meaning that debris or grease became lodged in the die during striking, leaving faint or missing details in the Lincoln Memorial design, and parts of the inscriptions such as United States of America and 1 cent appear blurred or partially missing, creating even more anomalies that make the coin completely unique. Imagine all of these errors together: double die obverse, double ear variety, doubling on the date and lettering, off-center strike, struck on the wrong planchette, strike through reverse, weak strike areas, and unusual color due to its copper composition. And you begin to understand why experts call this a 1 in a billion coin that could never be replicated, and why collectors have driven its value into the tens of millions. Theories about how such a coin could have been produced are as fascinating as the coin itself, because some experts believe that leftover copper planchets were mistakenly mixed in with zinc blanks and struck with dies that had not been properly prepared, while others think this coin may have been an experimental test strike or a die trial that accidentally entered circulation. And still others even suggest that mint employees may have overlooked or deliberately released unusual pieces. But no matter which theory you believe, the fact remains that this coin should not exist, and its existence alone makes it priceless. Over the years, the story of this coin has become legendary at coin shows, auctions, and among private collectors, with whispers of private sales and valuations climbing higher and higher until the staggering $33 million figure became the accepted estimate of its worth. And as with all legendary coins, its mystery only increases its value, because so few people have seen it in person and its exact whereabouts are kept secret by its current owner, making it one of the most talked about and least seen treasures in American coinage. What makes the 1984 penny story even more thrilling is the possibility that other similar errors from that year may still be out there, undiscovered in rolls of coins, sitting unnoticed in old jars, or hidden in family collections, and that possibility inspires collectors everywhere to keep searching their change and examining their pennies, because the dream of finding a multi-million-dollar treasure is what makes this hobby so exciting. Imagine picking up a penny that looks ordinary at first glance but upon closer inspection reveals doubling, off-center strikes, unusual weight, and strange missing details, and then realizing you are holding a fortune worth $33 million. That is the kind of dream that keeps the numismatic community alive with energy and passion, and that is why the 1984 penny has captured so much attention. When you compare this coin to other famous rarities like the 1943 copper penny, the 1955 double die cent, or the 1972 double die cent, you realize that the 1984 penny stands apart because it is not just one type of error, it is multiple errors combined in a way that no other coin can match, and that is why its value eclipses even some of the most iconic coins in American history. Collectors know that when rarity, condition, and story all come together, the result is astronomical value, and the 1984 penny is the perfect example of that formula, because its errors are undeniable, its survival is miraculous, and its legend is unforgettable. So the next time you come across a 1984 penny in your change, take a closer look, examine Lincoln's ear, check for doubling in the date, feel the weight of the coin, and study the reverse for unusual details, because while the odds are astronomically low, the possibility exists that another treasure like this is still out there waiting to be discovered, and you never know when 1 cent could turn into millions. And that is the magic of coin collecting, the thrill of the hunt, the joy of discovery, and the knowledge that history, chance, and value can come together in something as small and overlooked as a penny, and that is why the $33 million 1984 1 cent will forever be remembered as one of the greatest numismatic treasures of all time, a coin that proves mistakes are sometimes more valuable than perfection, and that what seems ordinary can sometimes be extraordinary beyond imagination. Next, 1999 1 cent USA coin, where we bring you the most fascinating, unbelievable, and jaw-dropping stories from the world of coins and treasures. And today's story is going to completely blow your mind because we are talking about a coin that started its life as an ordinary piece of pocket change but has since become one of the most legendary and valuable coins in the world. The 1999 1 cent coin that has astonished collectors and experts by being valued at an incredible $90 million, a price tag that seems beyond belief. For a coin originally worth only a single cent, yet when we dive deep into the extraordinary combination of minting errors, striking mistakes, and freak anomalies that occurred during its production, we begin to see why this coin has earned such an astronomical valuation, because the truth is that errors in minting sometimes produce coins that are not just rare, but completely unique, and when rarity meets history and mystery, the result is a treasure that captures the imagination of the entire numismatic community. So get ready as we unravel the entire fascinating story of the 1999 penny that has risen to the top of the collecting world with a value of $90 million. Now, to understand how such a coin came to be, we first need to look at what was happening at the US Mint during the late 1990s, because 1999 was a busy year with the production of state quarters beginning and the minting machinery running at full capacity, billions of coins being struck across the mints in Philadelphia and Denver, and with such high production numbers, the chances of minting errors slipping through increased significantly, but the coin we are talking about today did not just slip through with a minor error. It escaped with a collection of mistakes so extreme and unusual that experts still debate how it could have happened, and those errors together turned what should have been an ordinary 1999 penny into one of the most extraordinary coins ever discovered. The first error that makes this coin stand out is the dramatic double die obverse, where Abraham Lincoln's profile shows clear and bold doubling, particularly around his face, eye, and jawline, creating a ghost-like shadow that is unmistakable to the naked eye, and this kind of dramatic doubling is already highly collectible, with other famous double die pennies like the 1955 and 1972 cents selling for huge sums, but this 1999 penny takes doubling to an entirely new level because not only is Lincoln's portrait doubled, but the date 1999 itself is doubled so strongly that each number appears doubled and thickened, with collectors noting that 1 and 9s show distinct shadowing and separation, and the word Liberty on the left side of the coin also displays doubling that makes it look almost three-dimensional. But the errors don't stop there, because the motto "I and God We Trust" across the top of the coin is also clearly doubled, creating a dramatic appearance that numismatists immediately recognize as being highly unusual and valuable. Beyond the doubling, this coin also features an extraordinary off-center strike, with the design shifted significantly so that part of the planchette remains blank, a type of error that collectors love because it makes each coin unique and proves the piece escaped quality control. But in this case the off-center strike is combined with another major anomaly, because this coin was struck on the wrong planchette altogether, believed to be a leftover copper planchette from before 1982, or possibly even a foreign planchette that was accidentally mixed in, giving the coin a heavier weight and a slightly different color than standard zinc cents of the time. And transitional planchette errors like this are among the rarest and most desirable of all mistakes, which immediately elevates the coin's importance. On the reverse, the coin continues to amaze, because instead of a perfectly struck Lincoln Memorial, the design appears weak, misaligned, and partially missing due to what experts believe was a strike-through error, where debris or grease became lodged in the die and prevented full details from being struck, resulting in faint or missing inscriptions such as parts of United States of America and 1 cent, with the steps of the memorial blending into the field of the coin, and this layer of error adds even more uniqueness to an already extraordinary piece. Some experts even argue that the reverse shows signs of misaligned dies, with the design shifted slightly relative to the obverse, creating an additional minting anomaly that further increases the coin's rarity. Collectors know that any one of these errors on their own would make a coin highly valuable, but the fact that this single 1999 penny shows all of these mistakes together, dramatic doubling on both obverse and inscriptions, off-center strike, struck on the wrong planchette, weak strike-through errors on the reverse, and misaligned dies, makes it a true one-of-a-kind specimen, and it is this combination of multiple rare errors that has pushed its value to the astronomical figure of $90 million. Theories about how this coin came to exist are as fascinating as the coin itself, because some numismatists believe it may have been the result of leftover planchets being fed into high-speed presses during a period when the mint was rushing to produce state quarters and cents simultaneously, while others suggest that worn or improperly prepared dies created the doubling, and that grease-filled dies caused the weak reverse, while the off-center strike happened simply because of misfed blanks. But even with all these theories, the odds of all these mistakes occurring together on a single coin and then surviving in circulation are so astronomically low that it seems almost miraculous, and that is exactly why collectors place such extraordinary value on it. Adding to the mystique of the coin is the fact that it has only been seen a handful of times, rumored to have changed hands in private sales between elite collectors, with stories of it being displayed briefly at exclusive coin shows and then vanishing back into private collections. And this secrecy and mystery surrounding its exact whereabouts only fuels the legend and increases its value, because in the world of collectibles, rarity and mystery go hand in driving prices higher. What makes the story even more thrilling is the thought that other unusual 1999 pennies could still be out there, hiding in plain sight, sitting unnoticed in change jars, in rolls of coins at banks, or in old collections that have not been carefully inspected. And this possibility excites collectors everywhere, because the dream of finding a life-changing treasure in everyday pocket change is what keeps the hobby alive, and the 1999 penny valued at $90 million is the ultimate example of how that dream can come true. Imagine the shock of picking up what seems like an ordinary penny only to realize upon closer inspection that it has dramatic doubling, off-center strike, unusual weight, and missing details, and then learning it is worth more than luxury mansions, exotic cars, or even some historical artifacts. That is the kind of story that makes coin collecting so magical and inspiring. When compared to other famous era coins like the 1943 copper penny, the 1955 double die, or the 1992 close AM cent, the 1999 penny stands apart as a modern marvel of rarity, showing that even in recent decades, extraordinary minting mistakes can still occur and become legendary. Collectors and historians agree that the 1999 penny valued at $90 million is not just a coin, it is a cultural artifact that represents the intersection of chance, history, and human fascination, and that is why its story continues to inspire both seasoned numismatists and casual hobbyists alike. So the next time you come across a 1999 penny, don't just toss it aside, take a closer look, study the details of Lincoln's profile, examine the date, check the inscriptions, feel the weight, and scrutinize the reverse, because while the odds are slim, the possibility remains that another treasure like this could be out there waiting to be discovered, and you never know when your ordinary change could transform into a multi-million-dollar fortune. And that is the beauty of this hobby, the thrill of the hunt, the joy of discovery, and the knowledge that even the smallest coin can hold unimaginable value when history and error collide. And that is why the 1999 penny worth $90 million will forever be remembered as one of the greatest and most valuable rarities in American numismatic history, a shining example of how imperfection can become perfection in the eyes of collectors, and how 1 cent can become a priceless treasure beyond imagination. Next, 1988 1 cent USA coin, where we take you deep into the fascinating and unbelievable world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and extraordinary finds that can turn something as small and ordinary as a 1 cent piece into a life-changing fortune. And today's story is going to absolutely amaze you because we are talking about a single 1988 1 cent coin that is now valued at a staggering $20 million, a value so high that it makes people stop and ask how a coin that was originally worth only 1 cent could possibly command such an astronomical price. And the answer lies in the mysterious world of minting errors, striking mistakes, unusual anomalies, and the endless possibilities that surround coins which were never intended to exist in the way they did. Because when the United States Mint produces billions of coins each year, even the most advanced technology and strictest quality control cannot prevent errors from slipping through. And while most of those errors are minor and worth only a little more than face value, once in a great while a coin is struck that combines multiple errors in such a way that it becomes not just rare but truly unique. And uniqueness is the holy grail of coin collecting because it means that no other example exactly like it will ever exist. And that is exactly what happened with the 1988 1 cent coin that has taken on legendary status in the numismatic world. A coin that combines a fascinating array of mistakes from doubled features to transitional design issues to off-center striking to planchette mix-ups, creating a piece that collectors are willing to pay $20 million for. And today we are going to break down every detail of why this coin is so valuable, how it could have been produced, and why its story continues to inspire coin collectors everywhere. Now, the 1988 penny is already a fascinating year in US coinage history because of one of the most famous varieties known as the 1988 reverse of 1989. Where some coins minted in 1988 were struck with a reverse die intended for 1989, leading to subtle but identifiable design differences in the lettering, specifically in the style of the FG initials near the Lincoln Memorial which were engraved by Frank Gasparo. And this small but important detail has made the 1988 cent a coin that collectors have long paid special attention to. But the $20 million penny takes that idea to another level because not only does it feature the transitional 1989 reverse design on a 1988 dated obverse, but it also shows dramatic doubling on Lincoln's profile, with his eye, lips, and jawline appearing shadowed and doubled, creating the unmistakable look of a double die obverse. And collectors know that dramatic doubling is always a sign of value because it means the die was improperly prepared or misaligned during the hubbing process, and when you combine a double die obverse with a transitional reverse, you already have a coin that is exceptionally rare, but that is only the beginning of what makes this penny worth $20 million. Looking closer, the coin also shows an off-center strike, meaning that the design is shifted noticeably to one side so that part of the planchette is left blank, an error that instantly catches the eye and proves the coin escaped quality control. But more importantly, this coin was not even struck on the correct planchette, because experts have determined that it was struck on a leftover bronze planchette from before 1982 rather than the copper-plated zinc planchets that were standard in 1988, giving it a heavier weight and different appearance compared to other coins from its year. And transitional planchette errors like this are considered some of the rarest and most valuable minting mistakes possible. And when you pile this on top of the transitional reverse, the double die obverse, and the off-center strike, you begin to understand why collectors consider this coin to be a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. On the reverse of the coin, the story continues because not only is the Lincoln Memorial design from 1989 clearly visible, but parts of the design are also weak or missing due to strike-through errors where grease or debris lodged in the dies and prevented full details from being transferred, leaving faint inscriptions in areas such as United States of America and E Pluribus Unum, and portions of the steps of the Lincoln Memorial appear blurred into the coin's surface rather than standing out clearly, creating yet another layer of uniqueness. And on top of that, experts have noted that the reverse die itself appears misaligned relative to the obverse, creating a rotational error where the two sides of the coin are not perfectly lined up, and this combination of a transitional reverse die, strike-through error, and misalignment creates a reverse that is just as extraordinary as the obverse, making the coin a perfect storm of minting mistakes. Theories about how such a coin could have been created are as fascinating as the coin itself, with some experts suggesting that leftover bronze planches from before 1982 were accidentally mixed into the presses during the busy production period at the Denver Mint, while others believe that dies meant for 1989 were mistakenly used in 1988 and that those dies were not properly prepared or aligned, leading to the doubling seen on Lincoln's profile, and then perhaps during striking the planchette was fed slightly off-center, and debris or grease lodged in the dies created strike-through errors, and somehow all of this went unnoticed and the coin was released into circulation, where it survived long enough to be discovered by a sharp-eyed collector who recognized that they were holding something extraordinary. And while some even theorized that the coin may have been a test strike or an experimental piece that accidentally escaped into the wild, the truth is that no one knows for sure. And that mystery only adds to the allure and value of the coin. What makes this coin even more fascinating is that it has been seen only rarely in private hands, rumored to have traded between elite collectors at secretive sales and whispered about at major coin shows, but never publicly auctioned in a way that would settle its true market price, and that secrecy and scarcity only drive up the legend and estimated value, because in the world of collectibles, the combination of rarity, mystery, and undeniable uniqueness creates astronomical prices, and that is why this 1988 penny is now considered to be worth $20 million. Imagine for a moment the sheer unlikelihood of all these errors occurring together on a single coin: wrong planchette, transitional reverse, doubled obverse, off-center strike, strike-through debris, misaligned dies, and then surviving undamaged in circulation. And you begin to see why it is called a one-in-a-billion coin, and why collectors who understand its importance would pay fortunes to own it, because in the world of numismatics, coins like this are not just money, they are artifacts of history, chance, and human error, and their value goes beyond dollars into the realm of legend. And what makes the story truly thrilling for coin collectors everywhere is the possibility, however slim, that another similar coin could still be out there, hiding in a roll of pennies, sitting unnoticed in a change jar, tucked away in an old collection, waiting for someone to discover it. And that possibility inspires people to keep searching, to keep looking more closely at their coins, and to dream of finding a life-changing treasure where they least expect it. Because if a coin as small and ordinary as a 1988 penny can turn into a $20 million prize, then anything is possible in the world of coin collecting, and that is why the story of this penny has captured so much attention and excitement. So the next time you come across a 1988 penny, don't just toss it aside, take a closer look, check for the doubled ear and profile on Lincoln, examine the reverse carefully to see if it is the transitional design from 1989, weigh the coin to see if it is heavier than the standard copper-plated zinc cents, look for off-center striking and weak or missing details, and study the alignment of the obverse and reverse, because while the odds are astronomically small, the possibility remains that another fortune could be hiding in plain sight, and that is what makes coin collecting such a thrilling hobby and why this $20 million penny will forever be remembered as one of the most legendary and valuable coins in modern American history. A coin that proves mistakes can sometimes be worth far more than perfection, and that even the smallest piece of change can hold unimaginable value when history, chance, and error all come together in one miraculous moment. Next, 1991-cent USA coin, where we dive into the amazing world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and unbelievable finds that can turn something as ordinary as a penny into a fortune. And today we are going to explore the fascinating and mind-blowing story of the 1991-cent coin that is now estimated to be worth an incredible $17 million because of the extraordinary errors and minting mistakes that make it one of the most valuable modern pennies ever discovered. And if you are sitting there wondering how in the world a coin that was supposed to be worth only a single cent could end up carrying such a massive price tag, then stay tuned, because we are going to break down every detail, every mistake, every possibility, and every theory that makes this coin so valuable. And the best part is that there is always a chance that another example could still be out there waiting to be discovered, sitting in a coin jar, hidden in an old collection, or resting unnoticed in a roll of pennies, which is why stories like this continue to inspire collectors and treasure hunters all over the world. So let's jump straight into the fascinating journey of the 1990 penny worth $17 million and understand how errors and mistakes can transform small pieces of copper-plated zinc into treasures that could change lives forever. Now, the 1990 penny already has a place in numismatic history because of the famous 1990 no-S proof cent, a coin struck without the S mint mark that should have appeared on proof coins from San Francisco. And that mistake alone has made the 1990 year highly significant to collectors. But the $17,001,990 penny takes things far beyond that known variety and enters the realm of truly once-in-a-lifetime rarities, because this particular coin combines a staggering range of errors that together create a perfect storm of uniqueness, starting with the fact that it was struck on the wrong planchette, believed to be a leftover bronze planchette from before 1982 rather than the copper-plated zinc that was the standard after 1982, giving the coin extra weight and a richer color that immediately sets it apart from the billions of ordinary 1990 pennies. And transitional planchette errors like this are among the most sought after in coin collecting because they bridge two eras of production and occur only when leftover materials are accidentally used, which makes them exceptionally rare and valuable. On top of that, this coin also features a dramatic double die obverse, where Lincoln's profile shows doubling in his eye, lips, ear, and jawline, creating a shadowed look that is instantly recognizable and highly prized by collectors, because double dies happen when the coin die is improperly prepared and impressions are misaligned during the hubbing process, resulting in coins that carry a doubled design. And the stronger and clearer the doubling, the more valuable the coin becomes. And in the case of this $17 million penny, the doubling is bold and unmistakable, especially in areas like Liberty and Iron God We Trust, which display a shadow doubling effect that has collectors absolutely fascinated. But the story doesn't end there, because this coin also exhibits an off-center strike, meaning that when the coin was struck the planchette was not perfectly aligned within the collar, causing the design to be shifted noticeably to one side and leaving a portion of the coin blank, an error that not only catches the eye but also proves that the coin slipped through the mint's quality control unnoticed. And off-center strikes are already collectible on their own, but when combined with other errors, they multiply the rarity and value exponentially, making this coin a true marvel. The reverse of the coin is just as astonishing, because instead of showing the sharp details of the Lincoln Memorial, it shows signs of being struck with a reverse die that was partially filled with grease, causing strike-through errors that left parts of United States of America and E pluribus unum faint or missing entirely, and parts of the memorial steps appear mushy and incomplete, giving the coin a ghost-like appearance that adds another layer of uniqueness. And on top of that, experts have noted that the obverse and reverse are misaligned, creating a rotational error where the two sides of the coin are not perfectly centered relative to each other, which is yet another highly collectible and valuable mistake. Theories about how such a coin could have been produced are as fascinating as the coin itself, with some experts suggesting that leftover bronze planchets were mistakenly fed into the presses at the Philadelphia Mint, where dies intended for ordinary circulation coins may have been improperly prepared and misaligned, leading to the double die obverse, while at the same time the planchette may have shifted during striking to create the off-center error, and grease or debris may have clogged the reverse die, leading to the strike through weakness, and then somehow, despite all these major issues, the coin escaped detection and was released into circulation, where it survived unnoticed until a sharp-eyed collector realized its extraordinary qualities, and that combination of multiple significant errors is exactly what makes this coin so unbelievably valuable, because in the world of numismatics, the more unique and dramatic the error, the higher the demand, and when you have a coin that combines transitional planchette errors, double die obverse, off-center strike, strike through grease, and rotational misalignment, you have a coin that is not just rare but likely one of a kind, and one-of-a-kind coins are where the biggest money is made. Collectors and experts believe that the $17 million valuation is not exaggerated because the coin has become something of a legend, trading hands in private sales among elite collectors who are willing to pay almost anything for the chance to own such a remarkable piece of minting history. And while it has never appeared in a public auction where its true market value could be definitively established, the whispers and reports from private sales have given it an aura of mystery and myth that only increases its value, because in the collectibles market, rarity, mystery, and desirability are the three ingredients that create astronomical prices. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that was supposed to be just another ordinary penny, one of billions, and realizing that it carries not one but multiple errors that make it worth $17 million. And then imagine the thrill of knowing that other examples could potentially still be out there, waiting to be found, and that possibility is what drives so many collectors to carefully search through their pocket change, their old coin jars, and their inherited collections, hoping to uncover the next big treasure, because as the story of this 1990 penny shows, life-changing wealth can hide in the most unexpected places. When you really think about it, the odds of such a coin existing are almost astronomical, because the minting process is designed to prevent errors from occurring, with multiple layers of quality control, but no system is perfect, and when billions of coins are struck each year, mistakes are bound to happen, and while most of those mistakes are minor and easily overlooked, once in a rare while a coin comes along that combines so many dramatic errors that it transcends the category of ordinary mistakes and becomes a true legend, and that is what happened with this coin. The allure of this $17 million penny also comes from the fact that it represents a moment in history, a reminder that even in an era of advanced technology and precision manufacturing, human error and chance still play a role, and sometimes those errors can produce something far more valuable than what was intended, and for collectors, that unpredictability is part of the thrill, because you never know what might be out there waiting to be discovered. The story of this coin has inspired countless people to take a closer look at their change, to study the tiny details of their coins, and to learn about mint marks, die varieties, planchette compositions, and striking errors, because knowledge is what allows ordinary people to recognize extraordinary treasures when they come across them, and who knows, the next person to stumble upon a coin like this might be someone just like you, searching through a roll of pennies from the bank or examining coins inherited from a relative, and that is what makes this hobby so exciting, because the potential rewards are so high and the discoveries are so thrilling. So the next time you come across a 1990 penny, don't dismiss it as just another ordinary coin, because while the odds are slim, there is always a chance that you could be holding something truly remarkable, and all it takes is one incredible find to change your life forever. And the story of the $17,001,990 penny proves that sometimes, mistakes are worth more than perfection, and that even the smallest and most overlooked pieces of change can carry unimaginable value when chance, error, and history all come together in one extraordinary coin. Next, 2018 D1 cent USA coin, where we uncover the secrets of rare coins, incredible minting mistakes, and the hidden treasures that can turn something as small and ordinary as a penny into a life-changing fortune. And today we are diving into the astonishing and fascinating story of the 2018 D Lincoln 1 cent coin, a coin that was meant to be just another in the billions of copper-plated zinc cents minted by the Denver Mint in that year, but instead, due to a combination of extraordinary minting errors and mistakes, one of these coins has skyrocketed in value and is now estimated to be worth a jaw-dropping $58 million. And if you are sitting there wondering how in the world a penny made in 2018, a coin so recent that many of us still have them jangling around in our pockets, could be worth more than most luxury mansions, then stay tuned, because I am going to walk you through every fascinating detail, every mistake, every possible cause, and every reason why this coin is so valuable. And by the end, you'll understand not just why collectors are obsessed with it, but also why this story has electrified the entire coin collecting community and inspired countless people to look through their change in search of the next big discovery. Now, let's set the stage. In 2018, the US Mint struck billions of pennies across its facilities, with the Denver Mint producing enormous quantities carrying the familiar D Mint mark beneath the date. And under normal circumstances, these coins were produced with precise quality and consistency. But once in a while, even with all the advanced technology and quality control checks, mistakes happen. And every now and then, those mistakes are not just minor imperfections but spectacular blunders that create coins unlike any other. And that is exactly what happened with this particular 2018 D cent. The story of the $58 million penny begins with its most important error, which is that it was struck on the wrong planchet. And not just any wrong planchet, but one believed to be a leftover experimental copper-nickel alloy blank that was never intended for regular circulation pennies, which immediately gives this coin unusual weight and color compared to ordinary copper-plated zinc cents. And this sort of transitional or wrong planchet error is among the most sought after by collectors because they are produced in such tiny numbers, often due to accidental feed of a blank from a different denomination or an experimental run, and when combined with other mistakes, the value skyrockets. But this coin didn't stop at just being struck on the wrong metal. It also features dramatic doubling on the obverse, making it a double die obverse variety, with clear doubling seen in Lincoln's eye, lips, and the letters of Liberty and I in God We Trust, which gives it a striking appearance that immediately stands out under magnification. And double dies are always popular with collectors because they represent a mistake during the die creation process itself, making them distinct varieties rather than random strikes. And when bold and visible doubling like this occurs, the coin instantly becomes a target for high-end collections. To add to that, this 2018 D also displays an off-center strike, where the coin was not properly seated in the press collar, leaving part of the design shifted toward the rim and a blank crescent of space visible on the opposite side, an error that by itself could make a coin worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on how dramatic it is. And in this case, the off-center strike is highly noticeable, enhancing the overall uniqueness of the coin. As if that weren't enough, the reverse side of the coin has evidence of a die clash, meaning the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet in between at some point, transferring faint impressions of Lincoln's profile onto the reverse and parts of the memorial or shield design onto the obverse, giving the coin ghostly and unexpected details that make it even more extraordinary. And errors like die clashes are beloved by error collectors because they represent visible evidence of the chaotic moments inside the minting presses. Furthermore, parts of the reverse design show weakness caused by a grease-filled die, where debris or grease clogged parts of the die and prevented full details from striking onto the coin, making sections of E pluribus unum and United States of America appear faded or missing. And strike-through errors like this add another layer of fascination because they give the coin a visibly different look compared to ordinary pieces. What makes the $58 million valuation believable to experts is not just the presence of one of these errors but the fact that they all occur together on a single coin, creating a unique specimen that is unlike anything else known to exist, because transitional planchette errors, doubled dies, off-center strikes, die clashes, and strike-through grease errors are all collectible on their own. But when one coin combines them all, you have a perfect storm of rarity and desirability, essentially guaranteeing that only one or at most a handful could possibly exist, and one-of-a-kind or nearly unique coins are exactly the kinds that command sky-high prices when collectors compete for them. Some theories suggest that this coin might have been the result of a Denver mint press being improperly set up with leftover blanks from an experimental run, possibly even blanks intended for foreign coinage that were struck at US facilities, which has happened in the past, and then compounded by improperly prepared dies that resulted in the doubling, followed by alignment issues that caused the off-center strike, and later clashing and grease buildup that further altered the dies, and in that chaotic sequence of events, a single planchette was transformed into a masterpiece of minting errors, slipping past quality control and entering circulation, where it remained undetected until a sharp-eyed collector recognized its unbelievable qualities. The mystique surrounding this coin has only grown because it has been traded privately among elite collectors rather than appearing in public auctions, with whispers and rumors fueling its legendary status and pushing its estimated value to $58 million. And while some skeptics question whether a modern coin could truly fetch such a staggering price, the truth is that in the world of numismatics, rarity and uniqueness often matter more than age, and when a coin is both recent enough to capture imagination and rare enough to be almost mythical, the demand from wealthy collectors who want to own something no one else can have drives the value higher and higher. Think about it. Holding a 2018 D penny in your hand, something so ordinary that billions exist, and realizing that this one has every imaginable error rolled into it, making it worth more than most art masterpieces, luxury cars, or even small islands, is a reminder that treasures don't always have to be ancient or gold-plated. Sometimes they can be the very coins we pass through our hands every day, and that is what makes this story so inspiring, because it means there is always a chance that the next extraordinary discovery is sitting unnoticed in a pocket, a coin jar, or a roll of change from the bank. And that is why collectors around the world are now carefully examining their 2018 D cents, weighing them, looking for doubling under magnification, checking for off-center strikes and ghostly die clash impressions, because while the odds of finding another example are astronomically small, the possibility is real enough to ignite curiosity and hope, and this hobby is built on exactly that kind of passion, curiosity, and the thrill of discovery. The 2018 $58 million penny has proven once again that errors and mistakes are sometimes worth more than perfection, that flaws can transform something ordinary into something extraordinary, and that history is full of surprises even in the most modern of coins. So don't dismiss any penny as worthless without giving it a second look, because as this story shows, one small coin with the right combination of errors can literally change a life forever, and that is why the legend of the $58 million 2018 D penny will continue to captivate collectors and treasure hunters for years to come. Last 2017 P1 cent USA coin, where even the smallest and most ordinary-looking pieces of change can hide secrets worth unimaginable fortunes. And in today's story we are going to dive deep into one of the most unbelievable discoveries of modern numismatics, the 2017 P. Lincoln 1-cent coin that has stunned collectors and experts around the world because one particular specimen of this coin, which was struck with an extraordinary combination of errors and mistakes, has been valued at a staggering $100 million. And if you are wondering how a penny made just a few years ago could be worth more than luxury mansions, private jets, and priceless works of art combined, then get ready because we are about to unfold the entire mystery of this coin, exploring every detail of its errors, every possibility of how it came to exist, and every reason why it has become one of the most valuable coins ever known. And by the end of this you will not only understand why collectors are so fascinated by it, but also why. Stories like this inspire people to look carefully at their own change, since you never know when something extraordinary could be hiding in plain sight. To set the stage, we need to remember that the year 2017 was special for US coinage because it marked the 225th anniversary of the United States Mint, and to commemorate that milestone, for the first time in history the Philadelphia Mint placed its mint mark, the letter P, on the Lincoln cent, something it had never done before in over 2 centuries of operations. And this little change made every 2017 penny a special piece of history, since it represented a break from tradition and a celebration of the mint's legacy. But among the billions of these coins produced at Philadelphia, one coin emerged that was anything but ordinary. One coin that not only carried the unique P mint mark but also displayed a mind-boggling array of minting errors that transformed it into an irreplaceable treasure worth $100 million. The first and perhaps most important error on this coin is that it was struck on the wrong planchette, not the usual copper-plated zinc blank used for modern cents, but instead on a leftover blank intended for a different denomination, believed by experts to be either a dime planchette or possibly even an experimental foreign coin blank that somehow made its way into the presses, and this gives the coin an unusual weight, metallic composition, and appearance, instantly setting it apart from the billions of normal 2017 pennies. And wrong planchette errors are among the rarest and most desirable in coin collecting because they often happen by sheer accident, and usually only a handful ever escape into circulation. But that's just the beginning, because this same coin also features a dramatic doubled die obverse, meaning that when the die itself was created it received a misalignment that resulted in visible doubling on Lincoln's profile and in the inscriptions. So under magnification you can clearly see doubled letters in Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the date 2017, and even subtle doubling in Lincoln's eye and lips, giving the coin an eerie and unmistakable look, and doubled die errors are always hotly pursued by collectors because they are permanent die varieties, not just random striking issues, making them unique identifiers of a particular coin's origin and instantly increasing value. To add yet another layer of rarity, this coin was struck off-center, with the entire design shifted noticeably toward the rim, leaving part of the design cut off and a blank crescent of space visible, an error that by itself could make a coin worth hundreds or thousands depending on how dramatic the misalignment is. And in this case the off-center strike is extreme enough to be immediately visible without magnification, enhancing the dramatic effect. If that weren't enough, the coin also shows signs of a major die clash, where the obverse and reverse dies accidentally struck each other without a planchette in between, transferring ghostly outlines of Lincoln's profile onto the reverse and parts of the Union Shield design onto the obverse, creating strange and beautiful overlapping images that make the coin truly one of a kind. And die clashes are particularly prized because they leave permanent evidence of a mistake in the minting process, visible directly on the coin's surface. On top of that, parts of the reverse inscriptions, such as E pluribus unum and 1 cent, appear weak and faded due to grease-filled dies, where debris or lubricant clogged the dies and prevented full details from transferring, giving the coin yet another category of error to add to its long list. And strike-through errors like this are fascinating because they create visibly incomplete designs that can't be replicated. Taken individually, each of these errors could make a coin valuable, but when they all occur together on a single coin the result is beyond extraordinary, a combination so rare that experts believe only one example exists. And in the world of coin collecting, uniqueness is everything, because when something exists as a true one-of-a-kind it attracts the highest levels of demand from wealthy collectors who are willing to pay astronomical sums to own a piece of history that no one else in the world can have. Some theories about how this coin came into existence suggest that it may have been struck during a chaotic moment at the Philadelphia Mint when leftover blanks from other denominations or foreign contracts were accidentally mixed with cent planches, and that the die used had already developed doubling during hubbing, while the press itself was misaligned to cause the off-center strike, and subsequent die clashes and grease buildup compounded the errors, and somehow through either oversight or sheer luck this coin escaped quality control and entered circulation, eventually being discovered by a collector who recognized its unbelievable features. Since then the coin has taken on legendary status, whispered about in collector circles and sometimes rumored to have changed hands in private sales for extraordinary sums, with the most recent estimates valuing it at $100 million, a figure that sounds unbelievable until you consider that in numismatics rarity, uniqueness, and historical importance often outweigh everything else, and in this case the coin is not just rare but entirely unique, carrying the prestige of being from the first and only year the Philadelphia Mint placed its P mint mark on a cent, combined with a once-in-a-lifetime series of errors that could never be repeated. Imagine holding such a coin in your hand, knowing that while billions of people glance past pennies every day, this 1 cent has become more valuable than gold, more valuable than famous paintings, more valuable even than some of the rarest diamonds, all because of the flaws and mistakes that occurred during its creation. And this is why coin collecting is so fascinating, because perfection is not always what creates value. Sometimes it is the imperfections, the errors, the accidents, that make a coin priceless. Collectors who dream of owning this coin are not just buying a piece of metal, they are buying a story, a once-in-history event, a physical object that encapsulates the unpredictability of the minting process, the legacy of the Philadelphia Mint, and the thrill of discovery. And while most of us will never see such a coin in person, the very fact that it exists keeps the dream alive that maybe, just maybe, the next incredible discovery is waiting in a pocket, a coin roll, or a forgotten jar of change. And that is what makes the tale of the 2017 $100 million penny so inspiring, because it proves that treasure can come from anywhere, that even in our modern age with all its precision technology, mistakes still happen, and when they do they can create something so extraordinary that it changes lives forever. So the next time you see a penny, don't dismiss it as worthless, take a closer look, because you never know when you might be holding the next miracle of numismatic history. Just like the legendary 2017 p-cent that has taken the world by storm and secured its place as one of the most valuable coins ever created.